Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I am joined now with none other than Robert Garcia. Robert, this is our first interview.
Right, that is right. Yeah, I've seen you around, but you're not in LA that often, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I'm more so overseas all the time, but it's nice to finally sit here, speak with you, come into your gym here in Riverside, so thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. I know you're not very far from here, so it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually born and raised in Riverside, so for the most part, but yeah, so it's nice to see you. Congratulations, first and foremost, on Vergil's win. A big win for him, really sort of sets him up for some big potential fights coming in the near future. Tell me a bit about how elated you are with his win.
Well, look, it was a great win. It was a true test for Vergil. Maurice Hooker was game. He came to fight. That kid, we faced him before with Jose Ramirez, and we knew he was, all game in the ring, and comes to fight, and he doesn't think about losing. He wants to win, and he came and did it against Vergil. Knowing that Vergil was the bigger, stronger guy, probably the biggest guy he's ever faced, and he still came in and gave Vergil a great fight.
I noticed that leading up into the fight, neither one of them really talked any trash. My impression was that they both knew what they were in for. Both of them were a tough test for each other to sort of get back up into the ranks with the WBO and potentially a shot at Terence Crawford. So I know that each one of them was taking it, not that they don't take it seriously, but that they knew what type of challenge was ahead for them. Tell me a bit about what the lead up was into the fight against Maurice Hooker.
Well, see, they both knew they were in probably against their toughest test. Even though Hooker has been a world champion and fought guys at 140 that are world champions like Jose Ramirez, but now at 147, I'm sure he knew Vergil was his toughest test, and we also knew that Hooker was going to be Vergil's toughest test. But I think that the reason is because they're both very respectful kids. Maurice Hooker, we met him, with the press conference with Jose Ramirez and all that. He's a great person, great family man. He's got 8 kids that he works for and does everything for. And Vergil, was raised by his father to be humble and be respectful. And that's why the fight, nobody's seen a lot of build up when they're disliking each other or they're talking crap about each other. We both had nothing but respect for their team and vice versa. I know he's in a great team with Bomac and Crawford's team and everything. They've always given us nothing but respect, and we respect their team also.
Vergil Ortiz made it very clear post-fight that he would love Terence Crawford. Now, he said he doesn't care if he's ready or not. He wants him. What did you, as just trainers, make of that? Are you guys prepared to take on Terence, or would you prefer him to take a fight or two before that?
Well, look, in this sport, that would be a huge fight, and I think Vergil will do good. I'm not saying he's not ready. I think he's ready to fight. I think he's ready to fight anybody at welterweight. But it's also, I think it's also smart for us as a team, the father, being the father and myself, manager Rick Merrigan, Golden Boy Promotions. I think it's smart of us to maybe wait a little bit longer, build the fight, make the fight even bigger. Right now it's already a big fight, and Vergil's making a lot of noise at the welterweight division. But if we wait 2 or 3 fights from now, which will probably be closer to 2 years from now, it's probably the smartest move for us to do. Even though it would be a huge fight, and even though we might feel that Vergil could beat him right now, the smartest thing is why not wait? At the end, Vergil just turned 23 today. Actually, today's his birthday, and so exactly, he's too young. We don't need to rush him. And like I said, even though he wants it, and we know he could even beat him, but we could wait a little bit longer.
When do you anticipate that you would have him out next? I know that he just won, and I'm sure he's going to want to take some time off just to be, with his friends and family. So When do you anticipate he'll be back?
Well, he enjoys being back home in Dallas, but I'm pretty sure he's already running. That kid, that kid loves to work out. He works out for 3 hours in the gym. He loves the workouts. Loves to stay in shape. So, like I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure he already started running this week. But we're thinking maybe sometime in August. He'll be back sometime in August.
So back in the ring fighting in August.
Yes, fighting. No, he'll be in camp. He'll be in camp maybe in the next month and a half, 2 months. But to fight, we're thinking sometime in August.
Okay. Mikey Garcia. We all want to know what's going on there. We know that there's talks of him being sort of the front runner for Manny Pacquiao at this point. We're hearing that it's done, but not quite any confirmations yet. Pacquiao's team is saying that they want to make an announcement for July. Now, is there anything that you could tell us in terms of what's going on there?
Well, as of right now, from what Mikey, the conversation we had with Mikey yesterday, because he's been training, nothing confirmed. Mikey's still waiting. At this point, it's not about Mikey's decision. I guess it's Pacquiao who has to say the last take the last decision. Say it's done. Let's do it. It looks good. It looks like it's going the right direction, but nothing official. There's also fights out there that we might think if they were to get involved, like maybe they had talked about Pacquiao fighting Ryan Garcia. That would be a big fight. Ryan's very popular. Or maybe they had already talked about Pacquiao versus McGregor, but McGregor lost, so that might have ruined it. So there's still those type of fights that might Pacquiao might prefer because of obviously the bigger names, the bigger paydays. But as of right now, we're training because we know sooner than later we'll know if it's going to be us, and if it's not us against Pacquiao, then Mikey's still going to fight somebody else sometime in June or July, so we got to have them ready.
That's what I was going to say, because we've seen a lot of people make the mistakes of waiting on Pacquiao to sort of come back and make up his mind, and as you know, inactivity is probably the worst thing that they could do at this point. So say it's not Pacquiao, who would you like to see Mikey in next with?
Well, if it's not Pacquiao, myself, my father, the team, we would rather Mikey fight at 140, but there's also a huge fight at 140 in May 22nd with Mikey's teammate Jose Ramirez versus Taylor. So I know Mikey also supports his teammate and doesn't want to maybe cause any affect anything in his life. If Mikey says I want to fight at 140 right now, then that would kind of take a little bit out of Jose's fight against Taylor. Mikey wants that fight to happen 100% for Jose, and Jose wins, he'll be the undisputed champion. So there would be no meaning for Mikey to fight at 140 because he would have to challenge his own teammate if Jose stays at 140. As of right now, that's why he's choosing to fight at 147. He's leaving the 140 open for Jose, but us personally, we would rather have him fight at 140.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, this isn't anything any team wants to predict for, but if in the event it doesn't go Jose's in Jose's favor, are you saying that you would potentially like Mikey to face the winner, like Josh Taylor, if that was the case?
Not the winner, because if Jose wins, then that would just never happen. But yeah, in boxing, you never know what's going to happen. If Taylor was to win, then it would be huge for Taylor to fight Mikey. It would be a huge fight worldwide, and here in the United States, Mexico, Europe, it would be huge. So that would be a fight that we would definitely go after. There's also a lot of other names, a lot of young fighters from 135 that are gonna move to 140 sooner than later. So Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, Hayne, eventually they will all move up to 140. So those are all huge fights at 140. For Mikey, if he was to fight at 140, but as of right now, he's still, his next fight will more likely be at 147. Hopefully, it is against Pacquiao, but if not, somebody else, we have no idea. We honestly don't even know who we would have in mind, but it would be at 147.
Would 147 be the max weight that Mikey would want to go up in?
Well,
Do you think, like, I mean,
Well, I think 147 is already too much for Mikey. I think so. My father, my side, the whole team, we think that, and even Mikey knows so. But he loves those challenges. So if he was to pick up a title at 147, who knows if he might even want to challenge himself to 154. Honestly, we wouldn't. Definitely wouldn't recommend him. But Mikey's a little crazy.
He dares to be great.
He's a little crazy, yeah.
Exactly. So I know that Lomachenko sort of, after, fighting with Teofimo, he's kind of disappeared at the moment. We don't really know when he's going to be back. But I know that was a fight at one point that everyone wanted to see, was him and Mikey Garcia. And I know that when I asked him, like, a while back, I asked him, who do you think that was the best at the time? And he said, Mikey, Mikey, Mikey. So is that something that you would maybe want to try to make happen at some point?
It would still be a huge fight, but I think with Lomachenko, from what I've heard, we have, I'm very close with people around him. He used to train in my gym in Oxnard, and his manager Klimas. We stay in touch and we have a good relationship. I think Lomachenko might even fight at 130, so that would probably pretty much be out of our chance, because I don't even think 35 would be good for Mikey anymore. I think 140 is where he should be fighting, but 35 would be pushing it too much for Mikey. So Lomachenko, I don't see him ever fighting at 140. So that's probably a fight that's already out of the picture. Everybody talked about it when Mikey had just won his title 135 and decided to move up to 147 out of a sudden. We still thought 135 was a possibility, but not anymore.
We know that there's some issues going on right now with Gervonta, but if everything was to be cleared, would that be something that possibly would be a fight that would interest you for Mikey?
Well, Davis.
If they were at 140?
If I'm not mistaken, there's been talk about Gervonta already moving up to 140 to fight Barrios, so that's already 140. So yes, those are all the fights that we've talked about with my father, the team, of possible fights for Mikey, and they're huge fights. Tank is a very, very popular fighter. Just like we mentioned, the Haney's, the Teofimos, Garcia. There's just fights that would be huge in boxing, but right now Mikey's mind is still at 147, so hopefully we could convince him to finish up his career and the couple years or 3-4 years that he has left, do him at 140.
Just because we were mentioning it, who would you see winning that fight if you had Gervonta Davis versus Teofimo Lopez? Because I know that Teofimo said that would be the biggest fight for him.
Well, it would just be such a big fight, but I don't know. I kind of lean towards Teofimo Lopez. I think Teofimo Lopez is very skillful, very, very confident about himself. I'm not saying Tank doesn't, and Tank's power is unbelievable, but Tank was Leo Santa Cruz was actually giving Tank a really good fight. It was Tank was winning, but it was still pretty competitive. I think Teofimo was just in another level.
Jose Ramirez, big fight, undisputed. I love that we're starting to see more undisputed fights. You notice that this year we got a lot of them. Let's talk about that big fight against Josh Taylor. Josh recently said that he believes that he can knock out Jose. What do you make of him saying that?
Josh has a lot of confidence in himself. He's a world champion. He holds the WBA and IBF. So he's got to believe in himself. Just like Jose does this, he feels the same way. That only says it's going to be a great fight. That's one of those fights where everybody in boxing, even though maybe in the United States Josh Taylor is not very popular and Jose is barely starting to become a little more popular, I think it's going to be one of the fights where every boxing fan wants to see, because it could turn out into one of the best fights of the year, because they both won those 4 titles. Jose wants to be the first Mexican American to become undisputed, and Josh Taylor, same thing in his country. He wants to be the first. So both are going to come in very well prepared, and I'm telling you, that's for sure. I see it as a 50-50 fight. I know that from what I've heard from my teammates, that they're giving Taylor the edge on the odds, but that just it's going to be a very close fight and a fight to watch.
I know that when I'm asking people about that fight, a lot of times they're like, honestly, Michelle, I don't know. Like, it's one of those fights that makes it so, that's what makes it so exciting, is that it truly is a 50-50 fight. Having Mikey Garcia in camp as well, are you going to have them, like, help each other by sparring?
That's for sure. Even though Taylor's is a lefty, Mikey could actually do sparring as lefty also, and Mikey already told me that he wants to help out, he wants to be part of it. So that's definitely going to help out. We have other guys, that we're already planning on bringing in for good sparring. Alexis Rocha is a young kid that's already on board to start sparring. We have a couple guys here in LA that are already ready to come, but Mikey will be part of it because Mikey wants to help out and wants to help Jose become that undisputed champion.
I mean, there's so much on the line, especially what each has to gain. Is there a rematch clause? Because I haven't quite heard whether there was or wasn't.
I don't know that. You know what? It's something I haven't even asked. I don't know. I'll probably ask Jose's manager, but as of right now, I wouldn't know that answer. I don't know.
I know, because, usually if it's like one has two belts, the other has two belts, it's almost like, do you do a rematch? Or because they're both, equally giving two belts. So,
well, even if there's not a rematch clause on the contract, if the fight is so good, like we expect, there should be a rematch. And even if there was a rematch and the fight just turns out to be one-sided, nobody would want to see a rematch anyway. So I think it depends on the type of fight that they both give. I think it's going to be a great fight, and it's a fight that might end up in not only a rematch but a trilogy. It could be.
I'm just really excited that we're actually getting unification fights this year. I mean, we've been waiting. We've been having so many champions in each division. Do you feel like there are too many belts going around at the minute? Because there's a pretty good debate about that.
Look, I think there is a little too many belts, but I'm a trainer and I have 30 plus fighters. I think it's good. Nowadays there's 4 to 5 champions in each weight division, and I don't mind that. Why? Because I have a lot of fighters. We're talking 30 years ago. A lot of fighters that are world champions now might have never become world champions then. And now they're getting more opportunities. The purses are great for the fighters. So it just, boxing is a tough sport. So I see it in a positive way where the fighters could secure good paydays, maybe invest a little bit of money and live off boxing. Because, boxing is a tough sport where at the end the fighters end up broke and never became world champions. At least they're able to say I was a world champion, because we have 5 or 6 in each weight class. So I there is too many, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I'm in the business and I have a lot of fighters that I want them to become champions. And even if it's an interim, even if it's a regular, a super, whatever they all call them, I think it's good.
Lastly, let's talk a bit about who you have in your gym at the minute and what we can expect. So you said that there's 2 guys that are going to be on upcoming cards.
We have on Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor card, we have 2 young fighters. They're both 11-0. Raymond Murataya, 11-0 with 9 knockouts, and Lindolfo Delgado, a Mexican Olympian, 11-0 with 11 knockouts. They're both very explosive. They're both incredible talent, and they will be fighting on the card. So I think those are 2 that fans will start picking up a lot of attention about, because they both can really fight. Both of them are really very really good fighters.
And Espino is right. Espino is going to be on.
Is going to fight on the Andrade undercard in Florida. April 17th, I believe it is. Yeah, Espino's going to be fighting on that card. After that, we don't have anything until May 22nd. I will get more dates, I'm pretty sure, because we have a lot of fighters and promoters call me, and Top Rank always calls me for spots. Everybody does. So ring Ring City Boxing's been calling me a lot about different fights, so I might get some more days. But as of right now, those are the days that we have.
Do you ever get a day off?
I'm glad this is gonna be this weekend coming up is gonna be one of my first weekends free this year, so I'll be able to spend time with my kids and family at home.
Do you ever get an opportunity though to just go, I'm gonna go on vacation?
I do whenever I do that, it has to be during the week. Like I leave, like if I ever leave on vacation with my wife and kids, it has to be Sunday night to maybe Wednesday, because I know that I always get fights on the weekends. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I have to leave them open. So it has to be late Sunday night to maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, the latest, because those are the days that I might, if I'm gone a few days, I have my son and Chepe my dad is here in the gym, so they could take care of the gym for those 3 days. But that's the only time, and I can't plan it out because you never know. I can't leave right now, especially if I have Jose Ramirez and Mikey getting ready for fights. I can't leave them for 3 days. Vergil Ortiz for the past 2 months, I was here because I couldn't leave. You know what I mean? So it's not easy, but I love what I do.
I don't think trainers get enough credit, if I'm honest, because you guys sacrifice so much, especially when you're not getting paydays.
And when I had my last fight as a professional fighter, I thought, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy, time with my family, because when I was fighting in training camps, for 3 months, I wouldn't be able to be around my family because we had training camps in Big Bear. There was no cell phones at that time, so it was difficult. But now I think it's even worse because every weekend we're working every weekend pretty much. So it's worse now. But my son's involved. My wife loves boxing, so I try to bring my family to the fights every chance I get. This last year, it was impossible, but little by little, for Jose's fight, I'm gonna take my family, so that way they get to be around what I'm doing, and they love it too. So
turn it into kind of a vacation and work, yeah.
Yes, that's the way I like to do it, because it's tough. It's tough. We can't really plan our own vacation because I just never have the time. I just never have the time.
I know. I always wonder that. I'm like, my God, every time I'll just see the trainers are everywhere.
It's true. It's hard.
Well, I thank you for your time. I know you got to get back and start training everyone, so I'm taking up some of your valuable time. So any final words, anything?
Thanks for the support. Like I said, May 22nd, it's going to be a huge fight, and hopefully we get that Pacquiao fight with Mikey. And if not, Mikey will be fighting sometime in June with Pacquiao or without Pacquiao. So, big fights coming up. It's just thank you, and thank everybody for their support.
Thank you for having me, and I will be there on May the 22nd regardless, and then I will see you in Miami as well for the Andrade card. So thank you for your time. Bye, Fight fans. Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else